Did you know that on this planet Earth, every software that is running, whether it's an application or a website, every code that is running behind it is bound within this invisible walls called a code block. In Java, these code blocks are the gatekeepers that define where your data will live and when it will die. Let's see how that is the case. So let us see what the code block is in general. A code block is nothing but a set of lines that follow a programming criteria. Now, what is the programming criteria? Let us see. This programming criteria is nothing but two rules. Number one, this needs to be containing of a syntax. So everything in this world is basically bound within its selected or defined boundaries. It cannot pass through those boundaries. Those boundaries are nothing but syntax. And number two, the program should be execution eligible. Now, a program will be execution eligible only if it follows the rules of the programming language that it is being written in. If it successfully follows these rules of execution, then the program will be executed. Both of these go hand in hand. They have to go hand in hand. Why? Because syntax defines the boundaries and you cannot go beyond those boundaries because the code has to be run within these boundaries. Well, the execution eligible rules of execution. In the rules of execution, this is defined by the programming language itself. For example, in Java, specifically that we are learning in this course, in Java, these programming rules are defined by the language specification, as in Java language specification. So syntax is nothing but a boundary that makes the execution logically possible. And the execution eligible criteria are the rules of execution that actually make the program get executed. Now, why is it this way? So everything in this world is created in such a way that it has a framework of boundaries within which it operates. Now just imagine you are seeing a fish in the water. Now the water is the framework or the boundary for that fish. The fish can live only in the water. That is its limit. Now when the fish gets out of the water, it cannot survive. Why? Because it was bound to be in that framework which is water. Similarly, every program in this software world that is written has to be bound within a certain set of rules for which they will be executed. Just think about it. If there is no order, then there will be chaos. When there is chaos, there is no operation whatsoever. Every programming language works by executing these blocks of code under the hood. In the world of Java, every program that is to be executed must sit in a .java file, because this is the file which will be converted to bytecode. The bytecode sits in a file called .class file. So everything that is to be executed must sit in the .java file, because this will later on be converted into bytecode, which is the .classes. In short, so every executable statement in Java is called a code block. So in Java, the code block is defined by starting with braces, curly braces, and ending with the curly braces. So whatever comes within these braces is an executable fragment, which is basically a code block. Now, whatever is to be run in Java in the .java files must follow these rules, that this every code fragment must be within curly braces. Now let us see what are the types of code blocks. As we know that the simplest type of code block is starting with an open curly brace and ends with curly brace. Well, whatever comes within this two fragments will be considered as code. This will be executed by the JVM. The second one is the most important one of all. Why? Because it encapsulates everything which we have discussed. Basically, this is the main container where your code will be present and it will be executed. So, this code block is called a class. This is basically a special type of code block within which you will be having special functionalities, special behaviors, and special things that you want to execute when your data has arrived, when you want to manipulate your data, or whatever you want to do within your code. If anything has to be executed, it has to be present in a class. This class basically resides in a .java file. Do not get confused with the dot class which will be generated by this dot java file. Why? Because this dot java file is converted to bytecode, which is basically sits in the dot class files. This class is nothing but a keyword. This is written in this way. As you can see, as you can see over here, this class encompasses these two curly braces. Now wherever this two curly braces comes in, you have a code block. Now this particular code block, which is the class, is interpreted by the JVM in a special way.